Dream Car Update, where we share stories that go beyond machines, beyond horsepower, into the heart of what drives humanity itself. Today we travel back in time to the rugged lands of the frontier, where courage met compassion, and a single choice changed two lives forever. This is the story of a cowboy on the edge and an Apache woman whose soul refused to give up. The year was 1887. The desert air burned with the last breath of summer, and the land between the Rio Grande and the Colorado River was dry enough to crack underfoot. On a lonely stretch of canyon road, a man rode hard, a weathered cowboy named Luke Carver. His clothes were torn, his face darkened by sun and sorrow. He carried no gold, no badge, and no promise, only the weight of his choices. Behind him, a dust cloud rose, soldiers on horseback, their rifles glinting in the sun. Luke had been running for 2 days without rest. They said he'd shot a marshal. They said he'd betrayed his kind. But the truth was far less simple. He hadn't killed for greed or vengeance. He'd killed to save a woman. Her name was Nayen, a proud Apache healer with eyes like the deep desert sky. When Luke first met her months before, he was wounded and half dead from a barroom fight gone wrong. Her people found him bleeding by the river. Most wanted to leave him there, but Nayen refused. She nursed him back to life in a small canyon hut. Every day she spoke softly, teaching him her words, her songs, her way of listening to the earth. And though they came from different worlds, something began to bloom between them, something that neither of them dared to name. When Luke returned to the town of Redwater, the trouble began. The townsfolk didn't take kindly to him spending time with the Apache. The sheriff warned him, "You keep to your own, Carver. Folks are watching." But Luke was stubborn. "Ain't nobody gonna tell me who I can care for." Soon after, soldiers rode into Apache territory claiming they were searching for stolen rifles. They burned huts, arrested men, and dragged Nayen's brother into custody. Luke tried to stop them, drew his gun, shouted that the boy was innocent. A soldier swung his rifle. Luke fired first. The man fell. From that moment, Luke was a wanted man. Now he rode for his life, and for hers. As he neared the canyon where Nayen's people hid, his horse stumbled. Exhaustion clawed at his chest. He fell hard, the wind knocked out of him. He looked up to see her standing on the ridge, bow drawn, her face painted for battle. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she lowered her weapon. "You shouldn't have come back." He smiled weakly. Didn't have much choice. She stepped closer, anger and fear in her eyes. "They'll kill you if they find you here." He nodded. "I know. Then why?" He took a breath. "Because I can't take it anymore. Running, hiding, pretending like I don't care. I had to see you." Her voice trembled. "Luke, you're not one of us. You'll bring danger." He looked at her, his words low and steady. "Maybe, but I'd rather die beside you than live out there without you." Thunder echoed in the distance. The soldiers were closing in. Nayen looked toward the canyon path. "They'll be here soon. You have to be quick." Luke stood shakily. "Then let's be quick." He reached for her hands. "You once told me your people believe in the bond of the spirit, that it's stronger than death." She nodded silently. "Then do it," he said. "Bind me to you. Make me one of your people, even if just for a moment." Her breath caught. "You don't know what you're asking." "I know enough," he said. "You saved my life once. Let me give you something back before I go." The ceremony was simple, just as the Apache had done for centuries. Beneath a dying sun, she tied a strip of red cloth around his wrist, then around her own. In her native tongue, she whispered, "Two souls walk the same path. Where one falls, the other remembers." Luke repeated the words as best he could, his voice shaking. The wind shifted. For a brief, perfect moment, it felt like time had stopped. Then came the sound of hooves. The soldiers burst into the clearing, shouting orders. Luke stepped forward, drawing his revolver, but Nayen grabbed his arm. "No," she whispered. "Enough killing." He looked at her, then at the men closing in. He dropped his gun. The captain sneered. "End of the line, Carver. Should have stayed on your side of the border." Luke's eyes flicked to Nayen. "She's not part of this. Let her go." The captain laughed. "She's Apache. That's all we need to know." Without thinking, Luke lunged forward, slamming into the captain. A shot rang out. Nyan screamed. When the smoke cleared, the captain was on the ground, and Luke stood with blood blooming across his chest. He staggered, fell to his knees. Nyan caught him as he fell, cradling his head. He smiled faintly. "Told you. I'd rather die beside you." Tears streamed down her face. "Why did you come back?" His voice was barely a whisper. "Because you were the only thing in this whole damn world that ever felt right." His eyes closed. The red cloth between their wrists fluttered in the wind, still tied. The soldiers lowered their guns. Something in Nyan's eyes and that quiet, unbroken fury made them hesitate. She didn't move, didn't cry out, just held him as the storm rolled in. They left without another word. When they were gone, Nyan built a small fire beside him. She placed his revolver on the flames, a symbol of peace, and sang the old song of release, her voice rising into the thunder. That night, the rain came hard, washing the blood from the earth. By morning, only the ashes remained and the red cloth, tied to a branch above his resting place. Years later, Apache children would ask their elders about the tree that stood alone in the canyon, wrapped in faded red ribbons, and the elders would tell them of the cowboy who could not take it anymore, who made the perfect choice, not for himself, but for the woman whose heart he had found in the fire of the desert. They would say love is not measured by how long it lasts, but by how deeply it is felt. Dream Car Update voiceover. In every generation, there comes a story that reminds us, love and courage often come from the same fire. Luke Carver's last act wasn't one of rebellion or pride. It was a choice made out of love, a love that crossed borders, languages, and fear itself. Sometimes when life pushes us to the edge and says, "Be quick," the right choice isn't the easiest one, but the one that gives our soul peace. So when you drive beneath a stormy sky, remember that somewhere out there the wind still carries their voices, two hearts bound forever, reminding us that love is worth the risk.